Dude, I really just filmed this video with my lash halfway off. So if you see it in the video, just don't judge me. Because look here, you can't tell. So, whew, it's a little toasty. From the title of the video, you can tell this is all about getting like the perfect foundation, because I get a lot of questions. I get my foundation to look so smooth and not cakey and it lasts throughout the day. So these are just things that I like to do. Now, it doesn't have to be something like, if you have your way of doing it, by all means, do your thing, boo-boo. But this is my routine. This is what I like to do. This is what helps me get my foundation to look the way that I like it to. If it's like a BB cream or just like a foundation, CC cream, whatever, you always want to moisturize your skin. That's even if you're just like during the day. Always, always, always moisturize. Because your skincare sets your base for your foundation. So if your skincare is lacking, your foundation's not going to look the way that you want it. If you are oily, I know I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm oily, I don't need moisturizer, I have enough oil. That is not true. You definitely need a moisturizer. You want to take care of your skin, you want to hydrate the skin. It keeps the skin firm to where whenever you put a product on top, it's not going to sit cakey or it's not going to be flaky. One of my favorite moisturizers currently is the Dr. Jart, the Water Drop moisturizer. This one is very, very lightweight. Like, I don't have any issues with it, like sitting on top of the skin, like separating my foundation or anything like that. So this one I absolutely love. You can also use, Smashbox came out with the primerizer. This works really, really well, even with oily skin. I haven't had an issue. It's a primer and a moisturizer all in one. So you can substitute, I mean, you can still use a moisturizer with this, but you don't have to. But if you are like really, really dry, I recommend something a little bit heavier, kind of like a cream, like the moisturizing balm or the Aqua Balm by Belief is really good. I use that at nighttime because I like to overhydrate my skin just to keep it plump. And this is good for all skin types, just as well as like the Water Drop. But if you are like really, really dry, I recommend something a little bit heavier, kind of like a cream, like the moisturizing balm or the Aqua Balm by Belief is really good. I use that at nighttime because I like to overhydrate my skin just to keep it plump. And I have scarring and stuff on my face, and I also have texture, so it is complicated whenever you have texture, just to get that smooth surface. So one thing, where is my primer? Okay, so one thing what I do with primers, I mix primers because I have combination skin. So my skin through my T-zone, like through here, gets really oily, and then here tends to be, I mean, it's pretty normal through here, but around, like right around my nose and my mouth and like above my eyebrows, I get really dry skin. So I like to mix. So I normally go in with the primerizer all over the face, and then my Dr. Brandt Pores No More primer just where I have pores. Now, with products that are good for pores, you don't want to use those all over the face, only because those, they tend to sit on top of the skin, and that can be like, any product that sits on top of the skin when you're applying foundation over can make the foundation look cakey, or it can make the foundation separate. So you want to use products such as these only in the areas that you need it. So me, like my large pore area, and I already did moisturize my skin. Okay, so my main problem area with pores would be like right on my cheeks. So with products that are made to fill in the pores, you want to press it into the skin. Don't like rub, because it's not going to do what you want it to. You really want it to fill in the pores. I'm going to go in with the Smashbox Primerizer, and this is one I really like. Now in the summer, this is not something that I would have to use. I go in with concealer because I have acne prone skin, and I do have scarring, like you can see. There's areas on my face and I have like little veins. What I do is I go in with concealer, and you want to use like a fuller coverage. The Maybelline is really nice, the Adra One concealer in the Tarte Shape Tape. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the Shape Tape and just spot conceal those areas. Alright, so I'm just going to go in and press that in. I don't swipe because I feel like when you do like a swiping motion, you do lose some of the coverage. Like, look at it, it's like gone. And also, if you have a lot of texture on your skin, there's smoothing primers. I know Makeup Forever makes a really great smoothing primer, and it works just as well. So if your acne scarring kind of left you with a lot of texture, like on the cheeks and stuff, you can use a smoothing primer, which will help you a lot. And you apply it the same way that you would like the one for the pores. Just press it into the skin. You want to be really gentle with the skin. So with foundation, you want to go for something that's going to work well with your skin type. So if you're a combination or oily or something, if you like a matte finish, definitely go with a matte finish. Like my go-to is like the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Foundation or the Estee Lauder. And if you're looking for something like drugstore, also the Maybelline Fit Me, this is a great one. Also, if you are really oily, foundations such as like these two right here, like the Becca, where's it at? The Becca foundation, the Ultimate Coverage Foundation, and the Urban Decay All Nighter. Definitely use a hydrating primer with these because they are so matte. You don't want your skin to look cakey and dry. A little bit more on the dry side, you want to go with something a little bit more dewy. So Smashbox makes a really nice hydrating foundation. Too Faced, the Born This Way foundation is really... Some people like to use a brush on the skin or on their face to apply their foundation. I do not, because I do have texture on my skin, and when you're using a brush, it will create more texture on the face, so I try to avoid that. Because it is damp when you're using it, so it presses the hydration into the skin. And also a trick to getting like a nice smooth coverage in your foundation, it's not going to be patchy and cakey. You do want to work in sections. Regardless of any foundation, always work in sections. Because if you kind of like dot, 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 and then go to blend it in, some areas may dry quicker than the other, and then you're going to have a cakey, patchy mess. Okay, so once you have your foundation on, you want to go in with a concealer that is going to give you the coverage that you want, and the concealer that's going to be good for your skin type. So you don't want to go in with something that's extremely hydrating if you have oily skin, such as myself. Like if I go in with something hydrating through here, it's going to cake up and not be pretty. And with a full coverage such as this one, you don't want to put too much concealer because it is so full coverage. You don't want it to cake up on the skin. Alright, so just a little bit. And then if you feel like you need more product, then go in. Just don't try to cake up your face all at once. And with any mattifying foundations or concealers or anything like that, you do want to work quickly, because when the product is meant to be matte, it does dry a little bit quicker than something that's hydrating for the skin. See, like right here on my forehead, I need a little bit more coverage. This is when you would go in with more product. And I think that's where people get confused sometimes, because they feel like they just have to go ahead and pack everything on, and you don't. Just take your time. Okay, and then next I go in and I set with a powder. I do want to go in with light powder. I know there's like the baking technique, which you can do if you're like extreme oily, but I prefer not to, because on my skin, if I do go in and I like try to bake the face, it tends to be too cakey on my skin. Being that the foundation is already matte, you don't have to set the full face. Okay, and then I'm gonna take just a big fluffy brush. This is the Morphe E3, and I go over and kind of just like blend it all in to areas of the face. And then I set with setting spray. Just to lock it all in. And then also I go back over with that sponge just so it looks more like skin and it gives like a dewy, flawless finish. And I do this before I apply any of my powders, which is like the bronzer, blush, highlight, anything like that. I just feel like it sits on top of the skin a lot smoother. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and put some bronzer on. It's always a good idea to go in and set your face with a setting spray. Especially if you have trouble with your foundation, like wearing off throughout the day, or you feel like you're just not getting the use out of the makeup that you want. That'll definitely help you. And anytime you're applying your powders on the face, you do want to hold the brush back at the end, only because you don't want to put so much pressure and you're buffing it into the skin, because that's going to create texture that you do not want on the face. I think the Becca Cosmetics highlighters are the best for the skin. I just feel like they look, they give you kind of like that glow and not like a powder highlight. It just depends on like your preference. So this one, I'm going to go in with a little bit of highlight. And a lot of people, I've noticed, are like afraid of highlight because they feel like it brings out the texture in the skin. If you feel like you have a little bit more texture in those certain areas, always go around that area. But I feel like these highlights just, they give you such a natural glow. It's so pretty. Also, if you have really oily skin, another thing that I do is, throughout the day, if I feel like I'm starting to get like really oily, like through my T-zone, like I feel like I'm getting really greasy, I do carry little blotting sheets. I use the Clean and Clear, the oil absorbing sheets. I just like these personally because they don't remove my makeup once I blot, and they're just little sheets. And then I also keep a powder with me, like a pressed powder. This one right here, and I've had it for a while. And this one is just the Rimmel Stay Matte. It's translucent, so once you do apply it, there's no excess powder like on the face, and I just go in with like a brush like this one right here and kind of just like press it into the skin where I need it. You don't have to go in and then pack powder. One thing people do, they try to go in and blot with powder, and that doesn't really work. So if you feel like your skin is getting oily, go ahead and blot with like a blotting sheet, and then go in with a powder, because if not, if you just put that powder directly on the face, it's going to get really cakey. You're not going to like how it looks. And yeah, that's pretty much my routine, like what I do to get my foundation to look smooth and to last throughout the day. Which everybody is different, and I understand that. So if you're doing something that you really like and it's working for you, go for it.